Who is your external team? You need to find a good real estate attorney. Hey, go talk to some people. Hey, who is going to be my good real estate attorney? Title companies. Get to know who is good at title companies. Get to know who are the top 3-5 brokers in that submarket. Go have coffee with them. Go talk to these guys and say, listen, what you guys are seeing? So external, you need to be able to build your external first, right? A good insurance company. Hey, who is a good local insurance company I can talk to? So number one, you need to create your external team.
Welcome to the How to Scale Commercial Real Estate Show. Whether you are an active or passive investor, we'll teach you how to scale your real estate investing business into something big.
Carlos Vaz is a real estate investment expert with a remarkable track record of over $2.5 billion in real estate transactions. He's the founder and CEO of Conti Capital, which is a leading real estate investment company that has successfully managed more than 12,500 units. Carlos, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Sam. Great to be here.
Absolutely. I'm glad to have you here. Carlos, there are 3 questions I ask every guest who comes to the show. In 90 seconds or less, can you tell me, where did you start, where are you now, and how did you get there?
Oh, 9 seconds or less, right? I started in Dallas, Texas. That's it's home in 2008. I bought my first property in March of 2008. So when everybody was running away, I was running towards the business. So that's when I started.
Where'd you start? Where are you now?
Right now, we're in Dallas, Texas. We have done over 2.5 billion in transactions. We sold a lot of properties, sold almost 7,000 units in the last 2 years.
Wow.
Now, I mean, we're really building a bigger portfolio, right? We're just closing our 4th fund, and we have another close in the next, I would say, 4 weeks.
Okay.
Another property we're buying.
Okay, so you guys are you're busy. You've sold a bunch here. Very, very busy. You've grown a company from in March of 2008. I guess let's go back to that. What gave you the confidence in March of 2008 to say, man, now is the time to start buying real estate?
It's not. I mean, confidence is. I think it's a function of a lot of knowledge that we're always applying, that people surround themselves with, right? Because I believe that no man is an island, right? That's important. You should always be learning, make yourself better. So the confidence in 2008 was come back to some fundamentals, right? You look at in 2008, you're buying per pound, you're buying cheap. So the confidence came that some of the properties I'm looking 2008, I cannot even build for this price. So it's the gap is too big, right? If I'm able to buy some properties like that one, we know can make money. So that was a little bit of confidence, right? You had the knowledge, you start to apply, and that the numbers now start to make sense. Granted, it was a horrible time to trying to raise money, to talk to a lender, and all the above, right?
Absolutely. And you went directly into multifamily in March of 2008?
That's exactly. I mean, myself, I was born in Brazil originally, have been in the US now for almost 23 years. Mm-hmm. So I came here with $300 in my pocket.
Wow.
So I didn't have much. My rent was $350, so my P&L was negative day one. So my first job actually was work at the law office, a non-paid internship from 8 a.m. to 3. I was work at the newspaper warehouse from 2 a.m. to 6. Then work at TGI Fridays over the weekend and going to school during the night. So that was my beginning. And there in Boston, I got myself involved in construction, working as an assistant carpenter, started learning, doing the odd jobs. That's how the first Conti was created, Conti Construction. Conti is named after my mom, Neuza Conti Vaz. So that's where Conti comes from. Our first company was to do small jobs. That starts growing. I believe that everything that you do, if you do with integrity, with values, start to grow, right? It might take a little bit longer. And that small company starts growing. Then a friend of mine was in the mortgage. Hey, let's work together. You know a lot of people. If someone want to buy a house, you let me know. I'll do the finance and you do the renovation. Sure. Can you teach me? I started learning about mortgages. Then from 05 to 07, did over 32 houses in the greater Boston area. Got early 2007. It's too good to be true. And that's another conversation by itself. I sold all the houses in May of 2007. And I started learning about multifamily, taking courses, CCIM. I'm a strong believer in CCIM, some of the organizations, reading books and everything else. And the data showed that Dallas was the place to be. So that's what brought me to Dallas, and ended up finding the first property and closing March of 2008.
Wow. Wow. I always love they're not the rags to riches story, but it is that in its own right. It's the hustle, it's the grit, it's the grind. It is the starting with no handouts. I don't believe in handouts. The no handouts mentality of go get it done. People ask me that, like, how did you get where you are? Like, well, I was hungry. That's how we
100%.
Yeah, I was hungry, and I can imagine that sounds like the same story for you, being negative, what you call it, negative $50 on your P&L out of the gate.
Yeah. I think never underestimate the power of grit, right? You going and if you look at nowadays, the access to information, like if someone listen to this podcast, it's priceless because you start to getting nuggets, right? I think that's the most important thing. We should never stop learning. Never stop learning, right? And these nuggets are priceless. So kudos to you.
Well, thank you. And I'm glad it's because of great guests like you that come on and share those nuggets that we even have a show. So thank you for that. What is it? How did you elevate yourself out of the weeds? So many people I forget what book it is. I'm sure you can quote it, but what's that?
E-Myth.
Yeah, where they say
work on their business, right?
Yeah, the entrepreneurial seizure. Is that what he calls it? They're working in their business.
The entrepreneurial myth.
Yeah. How did you elevate yourself out of that? Because I can only imagine running a full-time construction company, renovating homes, things like that. It would be hard to then think about what it looks like to grow beyond the day-to-day grind of being in the whirlwind.
Well, you said something good. Well, Michael Gerber, that's the E-Myth. That's the entrepreneurial myth. Work in your business, work on your business, right? So we are our best friends, yet we're the worst enemies. So, and we wake up in the morning and both are on your shoulders, right? So, in which one are you going to look? I think, Sam, my perspective is that when I need to make money. And of course, money is really important. But then you see, I need to do it myself because if I don't do it, nobody knows how to do it, right? So it comes that idea of trust. And what does it look like in the beginning, right? I have to trust someone else that we can find a way to do any type of partnership or something that even I would rather make less money, but create scale. There's something can be said about creating scale, because if you become a one-man show, you are 100% liable yourself. God forbid you get sick or something, your business shuts down completely. So you need to be able to hold on a second. I am the worst liability to myself. I need to stop. I cannot be working 7 days a week. Man, when I was doing renovation, I used to bring my mattress, work until 2 a.m., taking a nap, and waking up at 6 and doing again and again and again, right? How long can you do that? I mean, and if you're going to build a family or something else. So what's the point, right? Do you want to have a heart attack in your 40s? So I think the first idea is to hold on a second. I need to find some people that I can work together, and I'm okay if I don't make as much money, but I can trust they're going to be able to finish something there. Then I'll be able to create scale. The first thing scale in my mind came as this project manager. I had a project manager who had been working together. He was doing a good job, and say, listen, and why don't you do the following? If you start taking care of the whole project of the renovation yourself and you deliver this on time, this is how much more I'm willing to pay you. I'm going to give you a 20% increase. And the guy was blown away. No, but you and I are going to meet now. Instead of me being on the site 5 days a week, I'm going to be on the site every Friday. We're going to meet at this time. But you run all the projects. Let's test with the first one. We test the first one, was working, and say, all right, so can I give you the second one? What that allows me to do? It allows me to stop being in the business, looking on the business now, and now I can get another house, another house, another house. You're just trying to look at that scale. When you go to where we are today, of course, much bigger and everything else, my main thing is that how we can find the best leaders in the company and empower them so they can make the decisions themselves, right? I believe the best decisions are the ones that the trunk, the branch can make without getting to the trunk, right?
That's brilliant. I love that. And that's right in keeping, with the name of the show is how to scale. Like
Yeah.
how do we scale? And it's commercial real estate, but how do you scale anything? And I think it is exactly what you have just described there, where it's then moving to that managerial role every Friday. We're going to have a meeting and review, and then you're going to make more money and I'm going to be less involved. And I think that's a brilliant way to do it. How did you, in the multifamily space, what were some of the first team members you brought on or maybe even some of the tasks, if you can remember back that far, that you said, I've got to get these things and this off of my desk in order to move this company along in a meaningful way?
Okay, so I look at that one from two perspectives, right? First, it becomes you at that one-man show, right?
Right.
So picture myself, I got you Memphis, right? Hey, Carlos, hey, it's different, right? So they'll be different. But let's say I got you Memphis in your backyard, Sam. I want to start look at, you need to create your external team. Who is your external team? You need to find a good real estate attorney. Hey, go talk to some people. Hey, who is going to be my good real estate attorney? Title companies. Get to know who is good at title companies. Get to know who are the top 3-5 brokers in that submarket. Go have coffee with them. Go talk to these guys and say, listen, what you guys are seeing? So external, you need to be able to build your external first, right? A good insurance company. Hey, who is a good local insurance company I can talk to? So number one, you need to create your external team. So that's when your business starts, and then you close your first deal, right? You look now your business, you close the first one. When you're going to close your first one, you need, what's the next, what am I doing today? And what are the things I want to do and I don't want to do? More important things that you want to do is what I don't want to do.
Yeah.
Right? So for example, if you don't like the property management side, so your job is, all right, I need to step out. I don't need to get involved in the property management. How can you interview some good property management and make sure that you hold them accountable? That would be one. You can say that, you know what, one thing that I always tell people, right? You are as good as your book. If you're your books, right? You are as good as your books. If you're not an accountant per se, you better go find a very good accounting firm or a bookkeeper that you can hire internally, right? That's gonna save you a lot of headache. So your books has to be really, really sharp. So perhaps the first person you need to hire, it might be the bookkeeper, someone that can, or maybe a small accounting firm that you can outsource that one. Do not try to do the books by yourself. I mean, rule number one, right? And then as the first person that we hired in our firm back then, I need to have a real estate analyst, because you start to look at deals, right? And I don't have time to find the deals, do the underwriting, do all this stuff, right? The first person I had to hire was a real estate analyst that was able to start look at the deals with me and let's go meet some brokers, let's see what's happening, start putting some notes. So that was a little bit of relief, right? And the second person that we hired back then was a junior asset manager, someone that said, and now we have the properties, but how are we able to hold the property managers accountable? Who can have this asset manager that can help us? So that was the initial. So the first phase, you're taking people that they start to doing some things that you're doing. The next phase, you want to hire people with more knowledge. They're going to take over the department. So they're going to start doing things that you not even know how to do. That's the next level, right?
That makes a lot of sense, and I've not heard that quite as clearly articulated probably here before on the show, but I like that thought process where it's at first it is getting things off, it's bringing people on. If I can recap what you said and make sure I understand this right, getting people to take the task off of your desk that are not necessarily value adds to the business. Like, here, you do this, and once you've done that, then move to bringing on department heads that can then grow the company, that are, like you said, doing things that you don't even know how to do.
Yeah, and the other thing, what's your greatness, right? And when I say greatness, put the ego at the door, right? I always say that ego stays at the door, right? What's your greatness? When I look at Sam, for example, hey, maybe Sam has great value. He's able to talk to brokers better than anyone else, and he's able to find deals. I'm like, it's priceless. Hey, we need to protect Sam's time, because that's where he's gonna give us the 10x, right? Anything else not related to that, let's make sure that he's not doing it. Right.
Right. Right. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I like the idea. That's a good nugget there. Protecting your time, because that's something that's so hard to do, especially in the whirlwind. I mean, it's just tough.
I mean, it's tough. And at the end of the day, right, good is the enemy of great. So it cannot be good. What's the point of being good in 10 things if you cannot be excellent and great in one thing?
Right.
So find the one thing that you're great of, because if you're good, you're going to become average, right? I mean, yeah, tell me that an average, football team.
Right. No, they don't make it to the Super Bowl. I'll tell you
exactly.
that. They don't make it to the Super Bowl at all. That's I like that idea. An average football team. Oh, congratulations, you're average.
Yeah. Yes, look at that.
You don't win anything. Good job. I like that. Let's talk a little bit. So you've given us some wonderful insight there on talent. But once you've built that talent, at what point in time in the trajectory of your business did you really focus on culture? Where did you come in and say, look, we've got to really infuse more of what Carlos believes in and the kind of the philosophy that you want to instill inside of your business? Where did that come into play?
I would say as soon as you realize if you don't have culture is everything, right? As soon as you realize I have been doing this wrong, in a very wrong way. So it's because okay, so now here you're gonna hire a couple of people and you're gonna go to work. What for? What are you guys doing? And how do you know how to hire people? What if you have horrible hiring decision? I mean, the worst thing you can do is hire the wrong person, because you spend a lot of time training the wrong person and wasting your time and the other person's time.
Right.
So it was a lot of kind of, really slap on my face. I said, Carlos, that's not and being this lifelong learner, right? Like I said, being a lifelong learner is important. You always need to be your biggest fan, yet your biggest critic. So I'm like, how can I? It was this idea of culture, I think, starts over 10 years ago. We have been in business for 15. So the first 4 years you're trying, you're seeing, you start to hiring people, but these people are not staying. And why did you hire that person again? Raise your hand if you have not made a hiring mistake, right? Hey, we all have those hiring mistakes. And I said, how the heck will hire this guy? Then the first idea came to mind is that, hold on a second. We need to find a better hiring process. Hey, I need to have better questions to ask during the interview. And then when you ask those questions okay, I'm asking these questions, but what's my company value? What's my core values as a company, right? And it makes no sense. So now it was important for me to, let's stop. And there are many books out there that you can read about company values, core values, right? What do you stand for? These are the values, like behind me on the other side here, that's our core values there, right? So you can see this integrity, excellence, right? Lifelong learner, right? So all this defines who we are at the end of the day. So 10 years ago, I said, listen, we need to put the core values in place. That helped us to see a little bit how to hire better people. And the other thing too, Sam, what was interesting is that you start to hold yourself accountable even more. So the beauty about having core values is it's like you're wearing that 25-pound jacket, right? It gets heavy, but it gives you accountability, right? People know that you hold yourself accountable, and that one starts to generate. So it was a lot of mistakes that I personally have made in the past that forced me, unless I have a company culture that I can relate, because whichever you think it's who you're going to become, and that's what you're going to be saying. So that's where the culture became so important to us. Today, I can say culture is the number one priority on my book.
Right. In that culture, I would argue, and maybe you can tell me if I'm wrong, but having that culture is probably what now begets the talent that you need.
100%. And for good and for bad, right? So you're going to be interviewing a bunch of people and then no, 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 no. Why does it take 3 months to find one person? Yeah, or 4 months. But we're not the best people that you I mean, when you want to in a very emotional way hire someone, do you know when you interview someone and say, wow, this person is amazing, right? You live in the room and walk a little bit more and like, oh, that Sam guy, wow, the guy's he's one of us. So that's how. And I want to have that one of us. I'm like, okay, let's bring this guy on board.
Right. Now that makes a lot of sense. What are some things you do to really just make sure that culture stays front and center? Because a lot of times I think organizations will make all these fancy, these are our core values, and they go on a sign somewhere, and then that sign just collects dust, and that's the end of it. And you might think about it again at next year's, whatever retreat, call it officers retreat, whatever you want to call it. But you're like, oh, hey, we got to pull these out of the drawer and look at them again. How do you keep it front and center?
Well, a couple of things that we do, right? So when you join our company, there's a book list, and that's not telling you what you do. It's more like those are mandatory books that you have to read, right? It's hey, if you join our company, you need to be a lifelong learner. One of the books there is going to be this EOS, Entrepreneur Operating System. We have been using this process for over 8 years now. So on our core values, every quarter, every single person inside of the company, you're pretty much you're being evaluated based on our core values. They get it, they want, and they have the capacity. So every quarter, that's part of it, right? What do we have in terms of how we're doing the things to live up to those values? Once a week, right? Every manager, they have the one-on-one of their manager, their people, the one-on-one, which is very important to us. Every Monday, we have that quick sync on every Monday. Just make sure that everybody's on the same page. Because if you want to build a company culture, you need to build trust. And trust sometimes is hard, because if you're building trust, you might hear some things that you don't want to hear. That's going to hurt you. Hey, welcome to life. Life is gonna punch you sometimes. There's things that you don't want to hear. Hey, Carlos, when you show up to a meeting like this is how I felt. Really? You're like a jerk. Ouch. How can I become a better person next time? What do you mean by that, right? Give them that feedback. So it's our weekly conversations, our monthly meetings that we're going to have as well. Once a quarter, we're going to have a meeting with all the company. We'll disclose our financials, everything to everyone to see. And this is what we achieve in terms of our goals, and this is what we didn't achieve of our goals. Right. I think the more you are transparent, and it helps a lot. Right. Rest assured, we're not perfect. We make a lot of mistakes. If there's one perfect person in the world, please let me know. I'd like to meet the person. We make a lot of mistakes ourselves, but that's what makes us great, right?
Man, I love that. I love the idea of building trust. And building that trust, I think, goes back to what you said earlier, which was you got to check your ego at the door. And that's very, very powerful. Carlos, you've given us so many things here to think about. We've talked almost this entire podcast really just around business organization, hiring great talent, how to grow a company. We haven't even talked about at all what you do in the real estate space, which is tons of fun. I want to just spend maybe, I don't know, we got maybe 60 to 90 seconds here left, but you guys have sold 7,000 units over the last 2 years. Yeah. You're in the multifamily space. You're mainly in the Sun Belt states.
Yes.
What are you doing in the multifamily space today? I mean, I know many organizations are pencils down. What are you guys doing right now that you feel like sets you apart?
Again, our people and our culture, right? And the relationships that we have in place. Very happy to where we are. We'll close our fourth fund now. We're in the process of launch Fund 5 that's coming. Our fourth fund was 200 million, right? So happy to that one. Look at the Fund 5. We have one close in the next 4 weeks. We're always looking for deals, right? We're always looking. The last year and a half, we created our own index in-house. So there's a lot of data that we look, right? Currently, we look at over 406 points before buying any property. It became a very strong screening tool for us. So now we're looking at deals. We know have the right relationships. It's harder, right? This year alone, we look at a little bit over 6 billion in properties to buy one. That's the name of the game. It's the name of the game is called discipline. Perseverance, and doing the best we can on a daily basis.
Got it. I absolutely love it. Carlos, thank you for taking the time to come on the show today. If our listeners want to get in touch with Conti Capital and learn more about you, what you guys are doing, what is the best way to do that?
Just go to our website, conticapital.com. That's it. Simple as that.
Perfect. CONTI capital.com. That's conticapital.com. We'll make sure we include that there. Also in the show notes. Carlos, thank you for taking the time to come on the show today. I learned so much from you. This was an absolute pleasure.
My pleasure, Sam. All the best.
Hey, thanks for listening to the How to Scale Commercial Real Estate podcast. If you can do me a favor and subscribe and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, whatever platform it is you use to listen, if you can do that for us, that would be a fantastic help to the show. It helps us both attract new listeners as well as rank higher on those directories. So appreciate you listening. Thanks so much and hope to catch you on the next episode.